Hey everybody, in this video we're going to go over spin axis on the Flightscope Mevo Plus. What does it mean? How do you fix it? Hey everybody, Scott Oaken coming at you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope everybody is out there being healthy, safe, and getting through these quarantine times. And hopefully this provides you just a little bit of entertainment and knowledge in these times where, you know, we're trying to stay inside and stay social distancing, all that good stuff. So before we do that, thank you everybody for the support, the comments that you've sent me, the messages. I really do appreciate those. We will have more videos answering your questions and more on the Flightscope Mevo Plus. Where next up is going to be Smash Factor. So that's a very, very important one. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below so you do not miss out on it. Before we get into it, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our partners, Rain or Shine Golf. Anything that you see here in the videos, in my home setup, in my setup at my studio, you can find on Rain or Shine Golf. I'll link them down below. Make sure you check them out. All right, before we head over into the lab, let's talk a little bit of spin axis basics. So spin axis on the Flightscope app, it's going to measure it in degrees. Now, you'll see some apps and a lot of other software programs that measure it in RPMs. I like that, a little bit easier and I think better to understand for people, but all you have to know is it's basically a left and right measurement of how the golf ball spins. I think this is really important for people to know, and when you're practicing, you would like to work on this number a lot. I like to see my students work on this number all the time because basically you're trying to get one that is consistent. I think if you can do that, then you develop what we call a stock shot. Now, as far as degrees and what number that you should hit, I mean, it's going to depend. I think as long as you're seeing one number that's consistent first, that's a good thing. And then if you start shrinking that number down a little bit, maybe closer to 2 or 3 degrees, you're probably in good shape. And then you've got a very consistent stock shot. So just wanted to give a little background. Let's head over to the lab. Let's start talking about how you actually influence this number. All right, so we're here in the lab. We are working on our spin axis now, okay? So there's a couple of elements that we need to look at, and one of my favorite drills that we work on for understanding spin axis is going to be this trident drill right here. So what you can see is we've got the 3 alignment rods down on the ground, okay? You're gonna see the orange one in the middle. That's gonna basically just represent our target line, or it's also going to represent where our club face we would like it to point. For right now, when we're just trying to get control of spin axis, which is going to be our number right here, if we're just trying to get control of spin axis, you really want to get the face under control first, because as we were saying earlier, spin axis, all it is this idea that the relationship of where the face is, okay, so if I've got the face straight ahead, but I work to the side of the ball, it's going to create some spin. One of the things I use to show this all the time is a tennis racket or a ping pong paddle. Everybody always asks why I have a tennis racket in my bag. This is exactly what you're doing in tennis. You're just taking the racket and you're taking the face of the racket and you're just hitting it, but you're putting some sort of spin on it to make the ball do whatever you want to do. You're doing the exact same thing when you play golf. Now when we start looking at, all right, how do we do this? If my goal is, all right, we'll just put a ball here for example, but if I'm going to work on first controlling spin axis, the first thing you got to get is the club face. That is always number one in doing this. If you want to make your spin axis go where you want it to go, that's the goal, is get that under control first. So what we like to see is people that can work on, can you make your swing, even if you do it one-handed here, but can you make little swings where basically the club face never stops looking at that orange stick. So if I run the ball and the club into the ball, can I make it run right over that orange stick? That's the first thing we've got to be able to do. So what do I typically see people do is they bring it back, they open the face up way too much, they let it roll open, and if they were to run the club into the ball, they got some issues there. We're going to see that ball take off more along that right stick, if anything. And then when we start getting into the rest of this, you're going to see that the swing is going to start shaping because of where that face is. So what I want to see is people work on All right, face, let's get it in a good spot. 2 hands on it. We're running in. All right, yes, that's taking off pretty close to the orange stick, and we're gonna be in good shape. Now, if we're really gonna start affecting our spin axis, what we start looking at is how our body is going to affect that, and mainly our torso and shoulders. Okay, so if I want to have a spin axis to the left, okay, and this is measured in degrees, but you would see this also reflected if you have a measurement of spin RPMs to the left or right, same thing. You're trying to get that ball to tilt so it's spinning towards the left. If I can do that, that's going to create a draw. If I had it going to the right, it would create a fade. That is for a right-handed player. Flip it around for a lefty. So what do I have to do? Well, I have to start making that ball spin to the left. So as long as I get the face in control, all I'm going to start doing is using my torso to kind of set the angle of my shoulders down whatever stick I want. So if I want to make a draw spin axis to the left, I've got to get back and feel like as I'm coming down, I want my shoulders to set where I feel like I'm going more down that right spin axis or that right stick. What that's going to do is, again, as long as the face is where I want it, it's just going to create that in to out path, and then I'm going to start seeing the ball curve. Now, if I did it with the opposite, I want to make it go to the right. Let's say you want to play a fade. This is where you see a lot of professional players, they're doing stuff like this. I would actually start trying to get everything to set where my shoulders are a little bit more open or feel like I'm working towards that left stick, okay? Now, professional players are doing that because they have the face in a really good position, but I see a lot of amateur players do that as well because they have the club face in the really bad position. If you go back to our example where the face is open and they bring it in, well, their correction for that is open everything up, try to get everything back online, creates a really weak blow, and in the world of spin axis, you can start seeing how that's going to create a ton of side spin. If you're creating all that side spin, you're not going to hit it as far. You're going to create backspin in the same breath as well, and good things aren't going to happen. So when we work on spin axis and trying to get it to control, first thing we do, face, just working on, do we know how to make the face run into the ball so it's still looking at that orange stick? And then from there, we just use our shoulders and set the angle of our shoulders to start getting a feel for what that shot's going to be, okay? So let's see if we can show you a couple of examples of it here. All right, here we go. We're going to go for the left spin axis first. So just getting a shot to curve to the left. So again, I want to feel my shoulders set, feeling like I'm on that outside stick. Still trying to control the club face. We still want it pointed at the target straight ahead while we do this. There we go. So I really exaggerated that one. You can see I put a ton of hook on it. That thing, for such a short shot where I didn't swing very hard, you can see I got so much distance on it, and you can see how far left it went. I mean, it's 20 yards left of target. So obviously that's a super exaggerated version of it, but again, that's how you would create this. Now I would just work on dialing in how much am I setting my shoulders, how much is the face going to be feeling like it's closed. That would be it. Now let's go to the other side. Let's start trying to get it to spin axis to the right. Again, I'll try to do a pretty exaggerated one, feeling those shoulders set on this inside stick. Let's see if we can do it. Feel pretty good. Again, you can see 16.9 to the right, so that is quite a bit. All right, that is 14 yards right at target. Again, a couple of really exaggerated examples there for you. That's something you're going to work on, though, is those controlling those shoulders, how they set. That's going to help you, along with the club face, start dialing in what you're doing with the spin axis. All right, so that's spin axis there. What is that really good for? Again, we talked about it at the start, developing a stock shot. From a strategy point, we'll start going more over strategies. Hopefully we're gonna be getting out on the golf course here sooner, but I had a couple of people comment on our par 5 on the course in Alabama saying, hey, I don't have a consistent shot, or I don't know where it goes. That's very true. You need to know that, and that should be a priority in your game, is developing that, because you could see when I went through playing our golf holes, and I'll link those videos, those are determined, my strategy is determined because I have a very good idea of what goes on in my swing and where the golf ball is going to go. So you have to have an idea of what this side spin is going to be. You also have to be able to hit the ball in the center, have good smash, which again we're talking about next time, so make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss it. But you have to be able to understand and develop something you can trust, especially on this side spin number. That's a huge one first before we continue going anywhere else when I'm working with students. So hopefully this helps you get it. And if you have any questions, please leave comments down below. Let us know how this drill's working for you. I'd love to know if the Trident drill is something that you work on a lot. It's one of my favorites. And as always, leave us a thumbs up, and that really does help with our channel. So thank you everybody so much for tuning in. We hope everybody's being safe out there, being healthy. We hope to see everybody out soon on the golf course. I can't wait for that. And in the meantime, we'll just keep getting better in our labs, ready to go. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.